And we're throwing it back to 1994. Again, the original meme was about 1987, right? It was a movie marquee about 87. And it
The
says,
year was 1980-something.
which movie were you watching? Because they all came out at the same time, which is pretty impressive. The Lost Boys, RoboCop, Predator, or Full Metal Jacket. We agree it's either Predator or The Lost Boys.
Can we all agree that RoboCop was cool, but at the same time pretty weak?
A lot of people liked it, though. It has its cult following, but I agree with you, right?
I'd buy that for $1.
By the way, really quick, we should mention our timing is really good on this. Today happens to be National Classic Movie Day.
Really?
Look at that.
Nice.
All those movies you mentioned, classics, and then the 3 from 94 Rich was talking about, all classics.
I'm glad you said 3 from 94 because, man, what a year. We're switching it to 94 instead because we think that might even be tougher than 1987.
Well, yeah, well, the train track of thought was Danny's like, look at these 4 movies, and I said, you think that's bad? You think that's cool? In 94, which is 30 years ago, 3 movies were at the theater, and arguably 3 of the best movies of our lifetime. And those movies are Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, and Forrest Gump.
But you know what else came out in 94?
Are you throwing me a curveball
No.
there, Dave Rigetti?
We're not including it, but it's notable. It's noteworthy because it's one of your favorite comedies of all time.
Mac and Me.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber came out. Mac and Me is one of Rich's favorites for sure. But Dumb and Dumber came out in 94, one of the most quoted movies of our lifetime. And Jurassic Park came out in 94. You know what the highest grossing film was in 94? The highest grossing.
Jurassic?
The Lion King.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
So, animated movies are hard to compete with.
Movie theater used to be the spot. Now you're lucky to find one good movie
Right.
playing at a time.
Right. That's what makes this crazy. So, Rich, before we go to the phones and get interactive, I want to know how you would put these
Damn
in
it.
order.
Well, hold
I
on.
got mine then. You want to think about
How
it?
can you leave Jurassic Park off that list?
Damn it.
Because these 3 Rich was talking about played at the same time.
But you know what? Iowa Sam might be onto something, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like I've talked to the people in the hallways here because, I'm just sure
Dude,
talks a lot.
You talk to everything. It doesn't even have to be a person.
Yeah.
You
I
just
talk
talk.
I talk to my flowers.
Yeah. Rich talks all the time.
Helps them grow.
Have you seen my roses? At Rich Davis, my Instagram story.
Not really.
Would you be opposed to putting Jurassic or Dumb
yeah,
and Dumber?
because the whole point was supposed to be
These 3?
you walk into
Okay,
the theater
perfect.
and they're
These 3.
playing
Not
at the
sure.
same
I
time.
mean, I'm not trying to confuse it. I just wanted to point that out.
I thought Jurassic was 93.
Jurassic
Jurassic
I just
Park
looked it
is-
up.
no,
They said, I don't know. So just said I looked
Jurassic
it up
Park
just
was
now.
1993.
Well, double check because that's what I
It
saw
may have,
online.
It may have
Overlap.
trickled into the next year.
unless
but
it lied to me.
Confirmed 93.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right. Well, Dumb and Dumber was 94, definitely.
Well, there's Dumb and Dumber. Iowa Sam and Spot. Kidding.
Oh, damn.
Hey.
All right, so I'll
Says the
start.
guy who talks to flowers.
I'll start it off then.
All right, here's Covino's ranking.
It's interesting for this one reason. If you asked me back then, when I was very proud of my VHS and DVD collection,
You displayed them.
I sure
we all,
did.
We all did.
Right up there with my Scarface box set. Everybody who had a crib had to have one of those. It would easily be Shawshank #1, Pulp Fiction #2, Forrest Gump #3. But again, you grow, you evolve, you change, you have different perspective. Fast forward now, I'm a wise man.
When did this start?
Shawshank's still #1.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw Forrest Gump recently, and a movie I really didn't care for then, I loved today.
It's beautiful.
It's just such a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, my brother's so
Too
dumb,
long.
he thought it was a real story.
Nah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, because Covino's brother Tommy, 2 stories about your brother being dumb.
Yo,
Do you
I
mind
can't
if
believe his life.
Do you mind if I share?
But hold on. Let me just
What
finish
was
my
it
point.
like growing up, like when Forrest Gump
Yo,
was
man, I
was
can't
around?
believe he invented that. Like,
Well, hold on. Let me
that
just get it.
shirt and that bumper sticker, yo.
Let me just get it out now.
Crazy.
He thought Forrest Gump was real, and Covino's brother Tommy also, Covino convinced him that, remember when Redbox was a thing?
Of course.
Covino convinced his younger brother that they hired little people to hand the DVDs, and they were sitting in those boxes.
Not little people, just real size people, but like they were in the box.
He believed it,
Oh,
though.
and if you wanted a job, all you had to do was
Just
knock,
on it.
and they would hand you an application.
That's how long we've been doing this show, by the way, because he was like a teenager back then.
He still believes it, though. He's
How
about
does
30.
he live on his own now?
I don't know. So check this out. Now, as an adult, basically,
Yeah. You switched it up.
Shawshank is still my #1, but Forrest Gump is my #2, and Pulp is my #3. They're all great.
Well-
That's my order.
I talked to Bree I talked to Bursch and Big Mike, who runs this place.
Who?
And
Mike, the goatee, bald head. You know Mike.
You mean Briella, too, right?
Briella.
Oh, Brielle.
Stop it.
You know, Covino's order, God, I love to fight Covino. But your current day order, Shawshank 1, Forrest Gump 2, Pulp Fiction 3 might be hard to argue.
Yeah.
I mean, might
we
be
all
hard to
love
argue.
it.
But I feel like there's a lot of bros that are like, dude, Pulp Fiction's number 1. How did you put it 3? There's people that are Quentin Tarantino fans that would hate your order.
Rich, I'm going to throw you a curveball. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective came out in '94 too.
Oh, Jesus. And Dumb and Dumber?
And Dumb and
My
Dumber.
God, I'm out of here.
What a year for Jim Carrey.
What a year.
What a year for my
I think The
life.
Mask came out in '94
Yeah.
too.
By the
I-
way, what a year for
Just
for
cinema,
Tom
right?
Hanks. Didn't Philadelphia come out that year?
No, that was '93.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because that miserable song was in '93.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to confuse anybody. So anyway, we go to you now because Rich's theory is, well, we already debunked it. He
Yeah.
said no one has the same order. We actually do.
My theory stinks.
Yeah. How do you rank these?
That's why I
We
was like,
should have stuck with, you
that's-
can only choose one.
That's why when I was saying, I was like, oh, Jurassic Park. I almost was like, yeah, include that, because I started to get the vibe that the order isn't as odd as I thought.
Yeah.
Then
Because
you can
Well, I
only
don't-
choose one. You can
I
only
don't
choose
think
one.
you guys should be able to move Pulp Fiction to number 3, though.
it's tough. Yo, Danny
You
G,
know why?
I want to
I'll
hear.
tell you why. I actually thought it out. When we saw Pulp Fiction for the first time, right? The soundtrack, by the way, was also legendary. I had that.
Yeah.
Counting flowers on the wall. That don't bother me at all. It was like nothing we'd ever seen.
It's a hog, baby.
Who said? Zed's dead, baby.
Zed's dead.
It's like nothing we'd ever seen. The editing, the way it was filmed,
Yeah.
the comeback of John Travolta, right? The memorable scenes.
Uma Thurman. I mean,
The dance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
So it was so shocking and so out there then.
Yeah, the wallet.
It's not
Bad
as shocking
motherfucker.
as out there
Sorry, what?
now. You know, and the other ones, the stories are just so undeniable. Forrest Gump definitely hits me harder now than a Pulp Fiction would. So it just changed as the years went on. Look, you view things differently as you grow
I mean,
older.
think about it. The same way, like as a kid, like you thought that it was, Daniel LaRusso was the good guy and
right.
Johnny Lawrence was the bad guy, and you were like, wait a minute, was Johnny that bad? You're realizing now, you're like, man, Jenny in Forrest Gump was a really terrible woman.
She's the
God.
worst.
She's one of the worst
What a,
movie
what a,
villains of all
u-
time.
what a user.
She was misguided.
She used Forrest Gump.
She was flawed.
Now,
Yeah.
Some
she
say
had
that-
she had a very troubled childhood.
Yeah.
that is true, Spot. I will say when you talk about these 3 movies 30 years ago, Gump, Shawshank, and Pulp Fiction,
Gump.
while we did put Pulp third, and I'm curious to see what Danny says, by far of the 3, Pulp Fiction is the most quotable and it has the best soundtrack.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2. Pulp Fiction might have one of the best soundtracks ever, and who has not quoted Pulp Fiction? You're not going around
Remember-
quoting the other ones as much?
It was a rebirth for the classic song "Let's Stay Together."
Yeah, oh yeah. That was great. Yeah, Pulp Fiction had an incredible soundtrack.
What says you, Danny G?
As a kid, I would have said Pulp Fiction 1, Shawshank 2, Forrest Gump 3. Now, I think Shawshank is a clear number 1, Pulp Fiction 2 with Forrest Gump 3rd.
Okay.
Well, we all agree that Shawshank's number 1.
It brings up another question. I feel like if you ask 100 grown men or women that are roughly 35 to 50 something, I feel like Steve Harvey style Family Feud. It might not be a large number, but I bet you Pulp Fiction is a top 3 answer when you ask people, what's your favorite movie of all time?
They're so hard to compare to each other.
They are because of different genres, but
It
I
was
feel
a
like
groundbreaking movie for sure.
So
Groundbreaking.
Shawshank was a cinematic masterpiece.
how often do you look at a man shoot?
Forrest Gump gave you the gamut of emotion, the spectrum of emotion.
Jenny.
You had some comedy, some laughter, some it was put together well, some great music, soundtrack, all that kind of stuff. And then Pulp Fiction challenged the way in which like you viewed a movie because it was out of order. It had all the characters.
And you
that
learned
kind
about,
of
and you learned about the Royale with cheese too.
interwoven. Yeah. It's all
Spotted,
great.
what order are you going with? Are you going with the same we did, or are you going out on a limb here? I feel like you might be Gump number 1. You love that movie.
I do love Forrest Gump, and I might put it first.
Wow.
Just because Forrest Gump is a movie I can watch regardless of the mood I'm in.
And you can watch with everybody.
Shawshank
You can watch with the kiddies.
is like heavy. It's a heavy movie, and might put me in might pull me into a certain mood that I might not want to be in.
Yeah,
You're
and
going
then
to
Pulp
lock
Fiction-
yourself in Scott's office
Yeah,
with a
and
record player.
Pulp Fiction's just a great watch, regardless of. But like as far as movies, like cinema,
Mike who runs this place brought up a good point that sort of goes with Spots. He said, well, there's two questions, guys. One question is, what's the best movie? And if all three were on now,
yeah,
which one would you watch? And he's like, the answers are different. If I told you, Covino, you don't have Netflix, you don't have Hulu or Amazon Prime or HBO.
Well, I
you just
guess,
have,
I guess I'll be missing a lot of football
No, but I'm
games.
saying you have
3 DVD. You're trapped somewhere with 3 DVDs.
yeah, you're trapped somewhere and it's like, yo, Covino, you got the afternoon to kill. No, better yet, it's the 2000s. You don't have all these streaming services yet. It's a Saturday afternoon. You don't have a smartphone. You're stuck at home. And all three movies are on like TNT or TBS. Which are you watching? Because I think my answer is now Gump.
Is it raining out?
It's so
'Cause then I'm
easy. It's
watching
such
Shawshank.
an easy watch.
Also, keep in mind that if you're watching Pulp Fiction on TBS or TNT, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be removed.
That is true.
Forrest Gump, maybe like a little something here and there. Shawshank, there'll be some that's probably in the middle between those two films.
Now, Dan Byer, admittedly, not a movie guy. Please tell me you've seen all three of these.
I'm going. He did.
I'm going to say
That
two
would be
of the
negative.
three.
Which one?
Dan Byer!
Added to the
What
hibachi date.
Wait, what have you seen? Which ones haven't you seen?
So I've seen Forrest Gump.
Okay.
great.
I've not seen Shawshank Redemption.
What?
And I saw Pulp Fiction in like 3 parts.
Yeah,
Like
Dan Byer,
45 minutes,
Dan Byer, if I
30
was,
minutes, and then like 20 minutes, whatever it was.
Dan, if I wasn't a heterosexual married man, I'd want to date you just because I feel like I would open your eyes to
show you the
world. Like, I would be like, Dan, we're going.
shining, shimmering.
Get in line, Davis. Get in line.
I would force you to watch these movies like in A Clockwork Orange. I would just
Yes,
have your eyes
yes, I was going to say,
open.
have you seen A
wide
Clockwork Orange, Dan?
open.
No, I have not.
Oh, come on!
Imagine if you were dating Dan Byer and you're like, Dan, tonight our date is we're going to go for hibachi, which he's never gone to, and then we're going to watch Shawshank. You think I'm the greatest guy.
That's like 6 hours of stuff.
I know.
Man, that was a
Dan,
night. What a
Dan,
night.
watch, they're going to flip the shrimp tail into their hat. Oh, my God. Onion volcano. And then we're going to watch Shawshank?
I did really enjoy
roll.
Forrest Gump, but I haven't seen it in 30 years or whatever it's been. As you guys were talking about.
When do we
30 years ago, these movies.
Danny
came
G,
out.
this summer,
He lived it.
this summer,
Yeah.
bring your son over to the house.
No, we got to
bring the
do it.
wifey
We got to
over.
chronicle it.
We need to have a weekend where we really do go out for hibachi. What's the proper name spot?
Teppanyaki?
Teppanyaki.
Teppanyaki. Yeah.
We need to go to like an arirang or what do they have? What do you
Benihana.
Benihana, and then be like, Dan, let's all sit down. Shawshank.
Dan doesn't want to do it, though.
Dan, are you
Dan,
doing,
Dan wants to go golf.
Dan, are you doing the updates while they're in Eugene tomorrow?
Yes.
How about this? Since they won't be in studio, I'm going to wheel in a cart like in school,
yeah.
and I'll
The
put on
teacher.
Shawshank,
Just put
and
it right in
watch,
front of me.
we'll watch it together while they're talking.
Will you know how to operate it? Unlike my teacher in 3rd grade. How do I work this VCR?
No, I want him to concentrate.
Yeah.
Just no. No, you can't. Don't use the bathroom and don't pause it. Just watch.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the phones. 94, 30 years ago. I say you just pick one. What do you think, Rich?
Then I hate to be boring, but if you ask me what my favorite movie of all time is, not comedy like a movie, might be Shawshank. So it's hard to say anything but that. It really is like a masterpiece of a movie. Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman at his best, like everything about that movie. Everything about that movie.
Get busy living.
How often do you look at a man's shoes? I actually look quite often.
Yeah,
Says a lot about a man.
you're a sneakerhead.
I am.
Remember the first time you saw the movie, though, and the moment he throws the
The Rock.
The Rock
no,
through
the chess piece.
chess piece
Yeah.
through the
Hey,
the
no
poster.
spoilers for Dan.
That's true.
That's funny. I had a buddy. Let's just say we're all having some drinks, or some of us were high, or whatever. We watched Shawshank, and
I love how cavalier he is with that.
cavalier about what?
Continue.
A buddy being high?
Just, I mean, yes. Yeah.
How is that cavalier?
Because it used to be something like I don't think people talked about so publicly.
Well, I'm talking about it. But we were watching a movie. One of my buddies was pretty high, and we're watching Shawshank, and it was his first time watching. It was like a Dan Byer experience. I'm like, how have you never seen Shawshank? And it was a group of our buddies. Like, honestly, let's have a couple drinks. He got high. We watched this movie. I was like, at the end, I gave the whole like, what did you think? And
he was sleeping.
And all he could say was, I don't want to go to jail ever. That was his takeaway. I was like, that's your takeaway? I don't want to go to jail ever? I was like, I don't think anyone wants to go to jail ever. But he was like he was clearly like,
he didn't want to meet the sisters.
I would not do well in jail. But
Has he seen American History X?
I love that movie.
let's go to Kev in Florida. What's up, Kev?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
We're
Hey,
good,
buddy.
man. What's on your
Reminiscing on a Thursday.
Man, you got that right. So I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys because 3 of those movies in 94 are 3 of my favorites.
Yeah.
My favorite movie, number 1, is Coming to America, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank, Forrest Gump, and Harlem Nights. Take that to the bank.
Yeah.
You got good taste, man. I like your list, bro. I like your list, Kevin. Let's go to
love Coming to America.
Coming to America is underrated, and I'll tell you why. You could say it's not underrated, but I feel like anytime you were to ask any grown man or woman, what's your favorite comedies of all time, somehow it slips through the cracks. Like, you'll bring up other things like, oh, the Tommy Boy or this or that. How do you leave off Coming to America? That's Eddie Murphy's best movie.
Yeah, it's the best. I love it.
Meg in Montana. What's up, Meg?
Hey, Meg.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
So I completely agree with Danny G's current assessment. I mean, how could you say anything but Shawshank is number 1 on your little top 3 list there? But my most passionate topic on this trajectory was the 87 list, because as a woman, nobody believes me when I wholeheartedly tell them my favorite all-time movie is Predator.
It's a good movie. The late great.
Whenever
Coen
that
Brothers.
movie comes on, I'm glued to it. Still, like, it's one of those movies where every time you see it, it's almost like the first time again.
Yo, Danny, do you think, God willing, you become an old-ass guy, like your son's all grown up? If you're like 70, 80, 90 years old, do you ever think you will go back and watch the movies from your childhood? And I bring this up because when I was in Jersey a couple weeks ago, I was walking through the hotel lobby, and they were playing, like, Lethal Weapon 2. And my buddy turned to me and goes, like, do you think in your life, all those movies that meant so much to you, do you think you'll ever watch them again? Because we live in a world now where you sit down at night, you and Brenda are probably like, Netflix, Hulu, HBO. You're choosing all new stuff. We don't watch things.
Your little son.
In fact, just last weekend, last Saturday, we turned on Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, for the family. So they all got to see it.
I think so, because you want to share it with the kids as they get older. So I think you will. By the way, just to throw a little fun fact into this conversation, it seems like we all agree Shawshank's number 1 on that list. However, the Academy said Forrest Gump was the motion picture of the year.
What do they know?
94.
And you know what? Shawshank, I'm sure you know this already, wasn't a box office smash. Like, it didn't do that great at the movie theater.
It wasn't even top 10.
It was more of a, afterwards.
It was a slow burn.
Yeah, we all acknowledged later, like, yo, that might be the greatest movie ever. John in Montana. What's up, John? You're on. COVINO and Rich.
Show.
Thanks, bud.
Just real quick, running through the list. Pulp Fiction, anytime it's on TV, it's the most quotable movie I think of all time. That's going to be number 1 for me. I got to do a revisit for Shawshank because I didn't really think it was that memorable to me. Forrest Gump number 2, though.
Yep.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's wallet was the one that said "bad mother flipper" on it, right?
Yeah, that's what TBS told me. As far as I wish Sam pointed out how a lot of these movies, the edits are pretty weak on like cable television.
Oh,
my favorite edit of all time, to bring it to the sports world for a second, when Coach Lou Brown is talking to Willie Mays Hayes. Remember the famous line, "You may run like Hayes, but you hit like S."
Yeah.
The weak ass edit on like TNT or something. Yeah. He goes, "You may run like Hayes, but you hit like my sister." And it's clearly a different voice.
Oh, man. And that's sexist.
Yeah, and that's sexist.
Re-edit, another edit.
Yeah, now we need an edit of that.
Quickly, can I add one onto that?
Please do.
Big Lebowski, instead of blank, it's Find a Stranger in the Alps. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where he starts beating up the car. He's like, "Is this your homework, Larry?"
Yeah.
This is what happens when you And he says, instead of that, it's Find a Stranger in the Alps.
Find a stranger in the Alps.
Yes, like that doesn't even make sense. I mean, if you know what he actually said.
Let's go to Mike in Vegas. You're on with COVINO and Rich. Hey, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. It's got to be Shawshank Redemption because I don't believe in jail. From Alcatraz to Auschwitz, I think they should all be closed down and turned into museums.
Yo, let me tell you, Shawshank did give, like I said, my buddy who was high was like, I never want to go to jail. That does scare. That's a scary jail movie from the first minute to the last. Let's go to Levi in Cincy. What's up, Levi?
What up, Levi?
What's up, fellas?
Yo.
So if I had to go off of the initial first three, I would say Full Metal Jacket.
Great movie.
Now going with the second three, I would say, it's a hard one because they're all good movies.
It's
but
Pulp Fiction,
hands down,
Shawshank, or Forrest Gump. What do you think?
Hands down, Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. That's the one you got to show the kids one day.
I'm telling you. So if you're ever on Family Feud and they say, top 5 answers on the board, and Steve Harvey's mustache is staring at you, and it's, what do people say is their favorite movie of all time? I just feel like so many people, unprompted, will say, maybe Shawshank Redemption. It really is the answer.
It's just such a good movie.
Trip, quickie. Let's go, Trip.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Real quick. So one would be Pulp Fiction because, like, the most quotable. 2, Shawshank. 3, Forrest Gump. But my favorite movie of 1994 would be True Lies.
So good. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Arnold and
That changed Arnold's life.
Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee Curtis doing the little striptease.
Yeah.
That's what he likes about it, creepo.
Tom Arnold.
Well, thank you guys for playing along. Chime in at Covino and Rich if you want to tell us your top 3 from 94 as we throw it back on a Thursday, old school when 50 hits.
Now,